Shadow of the Erdtree is everything wrong with Elden Ring, and by the end of this video...
Oh shit, I'm dead. Dead. Dude!
You're gonna understand exactly where I'm coming from. I really do think Shadow of the Erdtree are the worst parts of Elden Ring shoved into one neat little expansion, but I don't want to just dog on it completely, because that wouldn't be fair, okay?
Oh, come on!
There are things about the DLC to admire, and I'm gonna touch on them quickly before I express my distaste with the expansion. If you're not interested in hearing both sides of the argument and just want to hear the negatives, just skip to the time marked on screen, okay? First, I want to talk about the environments in the DLC. The environment and art design within Elden Ring has always been spectacular. There really is nothing else like it, and no one in the gaming sphere is even close to From Software's level when it comes to crafting a uniquely distinct visual landscape. They clearly put some hard work into the environment, and that has to be appreciated. When I first walked out into that beautiful expanse with the Shadow of the Erdtree in the background and what looked like veils holding it all together, I mean, just look at my reaction. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The Rao Plains, or whatever this area is called, looks just as incredible. The lush greenery, the waterfalls.
God, this area looks like Disney World, bro. This shit's like giving me Animal Kingdom vibes.
Yeah, we can go with that too, I guess. I also really love that later on in the DLC, after using Messmer's flame to burn away the shadow and reveal the final area where you take on the final boss, is just something that makes you feel a real sense of accomplishment and just makes you think, damn.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Seriously, you're literally ascending to what you saw was your grand goal from when you first entered the DLC, and I love how you can feel that progression and a sense of finality as you make your way up toward the final boss. Even with Elden Ring, this same design philosophy was there too, with the Erdtree, and it was always visible no matter where you were in the world, and when you burned it, the world around you was forever changed. You feel the significance of your actions through how the world reacts to your choices. And while you feel that less so in the DLC, I still love the way From Software concocts their world. It's always such a pleasure to watch unfold. That's not to say the exploration within the DLC is very good. While the environment and the way the world is set up is awesome, the rewards you pick up within the world pale in comparison to the base game. Nothing you ever find within the DLC is really ever worth replacing what you actually have on you from the base game. In the base game, exploration was always rewarding because almost everything you picked up was most likely gonna be useful. Whether the reward was a new boss to conquer for a great rune, new gear, a spirit ash, or even just runes so that you could continue to level up and become stronger. In the DLC, none of this really applies. Runes are useless because levels are useless in Shadow of the Erdtree. There are no shops either that have anything significant to buy to help you out. Ashes are pointless because nothing beats the Mimic tier, and new weapons are a pain because you gotta fully upgrade them, plus 26 in some cases, and it's usually best to just stick with what you already have upgraded. The only thing worth picking up in the DLC are the Scadutree fragments, and that's not enough incentive to go exploring, I'm sorry. Well, except for the Dryleaf Arts frickin' Konoha Senpu! Honestly, when I think about it, there's not really that much wrong with the Elden Ring DLC, except for the boss design. I mean, it was my main problem with the base game, and it's also my main problem with the DLC. It's ass. I mean, the boss designs themselves are cool as ever, but actually fighting them is just a major pain in the ass. And with the DLC, the tediousness dial is turned up to the max.
Damn, you got a nice rump though. Holy mo! Did you see that thing?
My main man, Critical, don't get me wrong, okay, I love the guy, was acting like this DLC was the easiest thing on planet Earth right up until he began asking the question I've asked myself countless times while playing.
So now there's people just fucking moaning about it being too difficult and being upset about that. That's a lot going on there. I can't make heads or tails of. Whoa, oh, okay. Okay. As he's attacking, he can still call down shit. That's big. That's fucking big. But to be leaving such terrible reviews only because it's difficult is absolutely juvenile. That shit is so embarrassing. This is some of the best DLC I played. That's ridiculous. That's actually fucking ridiculous. When do you punish? He protects every move. So you can't roll into him. When do you punish? still don't know what to do about that. Because I have to dodge the attack, then I have to dodge the light from the attack, and then there's another set of light. And here it comes again, he's getting me with that fucking bullshit blaster. He's already used it twice in this one alone. I can't see. I can't see! I can't see!
So now there's people just fucking moaning about it being too difficult and being upset about that.
When do you punish?
The answer is never, unless you have summons. Obviously, this DLC was heavily designed around them, and me refusing to use them is a huge part of the reason I had so much trouble. Even Miyazaki himself acknowledged that he had to use everything at his disposal in order to beat Elden Ring and the expansion. To quote, "In preparation for Shadow of the Erdtree, I played through the main story of Elden Ring. I want to preface this by saying I absolutely suck at video games, so my approach or playstyle was to use everything I have at my disposal. All the assistance, every scrap of aid that the game offers, and also all the knowledge that I have as the architect of the game. Man, that motherfucking cheater! But my main problem with this is that the series wasn't always like that. Okay, I know a lot of you are collectively doing a forehead slap right now, and the fact that there's a whole separate item to buff your summons in this DLC screams that you should be using them, but man, I just hate that the boss design in these games has devolved into having to use a decoy just to stand a fighting chance.
Dude, this guy does not stop. God damn.
Dark Souls 3, I feel, is the perfect counter to this kind of design. Aggressive bosses, for sure, but there was always a clear opportunity for you to get your licks in, and it never felt too overwhelming. The bosses felt difficult, sure, but completely fair. And whenever I died, it was my fault.
Did you have a Diet Coke? Oh, I rolled way too early.
In fact, doing a Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1 playthrough felt so much easier than doing this DLC. Except I wasn't trying to do a challenge run for Shadow of the Erdtree. No, I was just trying to beat it without summons.
Wild stuff there. Yep.
Which I guess in itself is kind of a challenge run, but come on. Honestly, I think it's pretty hilarious. Jeez, maybe I just need to get good. None of the bosses, though, feel particularly fun to fight either. The Divine Lion boss fight is more so a fight with the camera than the boss itself, and there's so much going on screen during the lightning portion of his second phase that it's like I'm playing a bullet hell instead of a Souls game.
Wow. Be patient, bro. Oh my god, no, please, God, please. Oh, this boss! Oh yeah! I am Mahatma. No.
That's another thing. The second phase of DLC boss fights usually aren't ever interesting or add on to the coolness factor of the fight. Instead, the devs just lazily add elemental AoE attacks to their attack patterns in the first phase and call it a day. There's nothing innovative or cool about that. It just makes for a more tedious fight. Pretty much the only exception to this rule is Mesmer. I know a lot of people complain about him, and yes, he is super aggressive, but he's the only boss I felt that had clear openings and a really cool second phase to boot. At least it was unique. I mean, for God's sake, he can turn into a freaking basilisk on some Orochimaru type shit. I mean, come on, how can you not think that's cool? But then you got bosses like Commander Gaius, and it's like, dude, did anybody actually playtest this dog shit? I've never seen a man atop a boar in full heavy armor be so nimble and fast before in my life. But here we are.
Oh my god. No, not a second fucking form. Everybody needs a phase 2. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, this game is hilarious, bro. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
The charge is such a stupid move. The hitbox makes no sense.
Stupid ass hitbox. Oh my god.
And I even tried to give the move the benefit of the doubt. I continuously baited him to charge me over and over to see if I could dodge consistently, and even if I could dodge it 3 or 4 times in a row, I'd do the dodge the exact same the 5th time around and get hit for no reason.
Why am I getting hit by that?
The camera, when he knocks you into a corner, sucks, and really overall, he's not even a hard boss, but the deaths just don't feel fair whenever they happen, and the fight is not even close to fun. Also, why do the bosses in the DLC feel like they have so much health? Listen, I know Erdtree fragments are usually the answer here, but even when I feel like I was at a sufficient level, my damage output would still feel less than stellar. I don't know if this is just a me thing, but if someone wants to explain this down in the comments below, be my guest. But really, all the DLC bosses pale in comparison to the final one. Okay, in the past I've made a video titled, The Worst Boss in From Software History, talking about Radahn in the base game. There are a lot of things wrong with that video. Okay, my level was dog shit, my vigor was terrible, and my damage output was even worse. I played through the base game recently just before the DLC and beat Radahn first try. Okay, I get it. Well, I don't know if that was because of nerfs, but whatever. Point is, I was playing Elden Ring like a Souls game when it first came out, and I should have just gone and explored and got better weapons and came back to beat Radahn. But we've already established why exploration and leveling in the DLC sucks, and how the only thing that really matters are the Erdtree fragments, and also the other item you use to upgrade for summons if you're using them. But anyway, exploration just isn't as rewarding as the base game, so the same concept just doesn't apply.
Fine for standard. Chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, chitty bang bang, yeah!
All this to say, maybe I wasn't so wrong about Radahn. This boss sucks, baby! Woo! Seriously though, this boss is straight ass cheeks, and it's such a damn shame that this is Elden Ring's final send-off. For reference, my Erdtree level was 15 when I took on this boss, and it wasn't enough. I changed my entire build, and it also wasn't enough, because up to this point I was using the dry leaf arts, but I could only ever manage to get him to the second phase with that, and okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. The first phase of this boss actually isn't that bad. There's one move that he has that'll roll catch you pretty much almost always, so that kinda sucks, but whatever. One bad move, we'll let it slide. Other than that, there's a lot of rolling to dodge all of his attacks just so you can get one in, which is a problem with every boss in the DLC, but with enough patience, it's small potatoes. Okay, phase 2 though, is where shit really hits the proverbial fan. Phase 2, traditionally in every Souls game up to this point, has always started at 50% health. I guess there's the Dragon with Nameless King as a first phase where it's a full health bar, but that doesn't really count, okay? When there's one health bar, the second phase always starts at 50%, right? Right. This boss's second phase starts at 75. Okay, whatever. This is the final boss of Elden Ring. I guess I can understand making me endure the second phase for a bit longer than normal. Okay, how do I dodge that? Oh my god, what the fuck is this shit?
This is the move. This is the f***ing move. Oh my god, there's attacks to my behind, to my right, to my left, in front of me, in my f***ing asshole.
There are 3 things wrong with this boss, just to sum it up really quickly. Okay, number 1. I don't understand From's obsession with adding AoE elemental attacks to every second phase, and to do this with the final boss of the DLC for its second phase feels so lazy and uninspiring. Number 2, the final boss in the history of Elden Ring is going to be a boss that they already made you fight in the base game, just with a different but similar moveset and somebody on his back. Oh, 10 out of 10 DLC my ass, IGN. And number 3, as if that weren't bad enough, the fight feels eerily similar to the Twin Princess boss fight in Dark Souls 3, except that fight was done a million times better and was such a badass fight compared to this utter dog shit.
Dude, I gotta do this off stream or something, dude. What sucks about the second phase is if you get hit by the swords, you're fucked. If you make one mistake, it throws everything off. The timing, everything, you're fucked. The light hits you, the swords hit you, and then you're just fucking dead. You cannot get hit. I hate that. Just because I make one mistake, bro? Like, one mistake, you're gonna kill me?
How I finally ended up beating this boss was even more telling of how poor his design is. Apparently, I needed to summon the shield heroes, one of them being my own brother. The optimal way to beat this guy is just to have a big-ass shield and just spear him to death while you hide behind it. Make sure your build has bleed or cold proc, and more or less, easy dub. You don't have to deal with dodging any of his attacks, learning the patterns. No, fuck all that shit. And pretty much everyone who I was looking to summon had this exact same build, the exact same shield, the exact same weapon, the exact same strategy. I'm sorry, but I think this is lame. People can have different opinions on this and say you need to adapt to the boss. Elden Ring gives you options, blah blah blah, but to me, this just feels like you're forced into doing it a specific way to avoid the boss's bullshit design. I'm gonna make some concessions here though, because I've been absolutely dumping on this DLC for the better part of the video. I understand that making this DLC was gonna be really hard on the developers, okay? I mean, Elden Ring alone was considered one of the toughest games in recent memory for a lot of people. The bosses were already made to be pretty crazy, and the DLC had to take that to the next level. It just makes sense. People had spent thousands of hours in the base game at this point and had literal years to prepare and become OP, so how do you still provide that same sense of challenge Elden Ring provided while still making a game that feels fair? In my opinion, they clearly went too far with the difficulty with this DLC, but I understand they put themselves in an impossible position. It makes sense that levels don't matter, and it makes sense for them to put something DLC specific for scaling purposes, but the game just doesn't hold up for me, and it's a real shame. I still am looking forward to what they come up with next, because I'll always be a From Software fan, but for now, I'll be sticking to the good old bread and butter, the Souls series, okay? Those games, they just can't be beat, except for Dark Souls 2, but anyways. Also, I'm doing a no bonfire run of Dark Souls 1, so if you're interested in checking that out, make sure to subscribe, because I'm live streaming that right here on the channel now. So, I hope to see you there in the streams. Actually, you should check to see if I'm live right now. Well, I think that pretty much makes the video. Like and subscribe, and oh my god, Ongball's freaking doing this naked and Ongballin' Radahn to death with a club? Jesus. See you guys in the next one.